moderator. Prashant, besides being an engineer, MBA, and the MD of Tata Consumer Soulful, also launched the Soulful brand right here. So there's like a very nostalgic memory that we have of Professor Swaminathan actually talking about the importance of millets, and Prashant coming in with that dynamism and this really positive attitude that nothing can go wrong and he can make this a successful marketing venture. And I think the results are there for him to showcase. So Prashant, over to you, and very happy to be on this panel with you.
Thanks, Jayashree. But yeah, 2014, that's when it was. So, in the paucity and the interest of time, what we'll do is, as I introduce my panelist, request each and every one of you. I know it feels a little bit longer than a short, simple, small panel. So, but it's always nice. It's like 50 over cricket versus T20 cricket. So let's make it interesting. In a short period of time, we'll give them as many balls, as many sixers, as many fours as possible. We won't have wickets going on, but that's the only problem in this one. So first, Mr. Sitaram Prasad, I'd like to invite you to the dais, corporate executive chef of GRT Hotels, and I think a very, very important person because he also heads the South India Chef Association. We were talking about how he basically holds the pen of really bringing millets into people's house and into their kitchen. Welcome, sir. Next, I invite Chef Zach. Chef Zach, comes with a great amount of, what would I say, a lot of energy, a lot of zest, and really bringing what I call great food with great impact with his new venture at Locavor. Next, I'd invite Mr. Neeraj Balasubramanian. You must, and I must tell you, he has some interesting recipes inside that diary that he's walking in with. If I were you, over after this session, try and get hold of that recipe book because I think there's some interesting stuff that he's done, and as recent as this weekend. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Tamil Vanan. He's the chief of banquet, Hotel Turiya. Please, sir, if you could, and he actually has a lot of nostalgic memories to millets, and we look forward to hearing from you as well. Dr. Raghunathan from Kottakkal, if I can invite you to the dais, sir, I think it would be very, very interesting to see, as we talk about science and as we talk about something like millets, I think the deep relationship that it actually has with time. So, thank you, sir. Mrs. Adi Ishwari, co-founder and director of Millet Magic Meal. Nobody said that, food has no science. Here is a, dynamic woman from an electronics engineering background degree and having now running 2 successful restaurants, which is, and the way she says is, from idli to pizza. Welcome, ma'am. And completely millet-based. Next, I'll invite Ms. Jiggy Vishaw from Vasan. Onto the dais, please. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Vikas Husur from Rainmatter Foundation. And he's going to talk about the entire linkages that are really there. So welcome on, sir. Dr. Jayashree, I just quick introduction to Dr. Jayashree. She heads communication at Reliance Foundation, and in her previous role was at, as she mentioned, at the foundation itself. So welcome, ma'am. Sorry, my apologies. I'd also like to invite Mr. Pushparaj from the Pushpa Diet Hotel at Namakkal. Please, sir. So, and as panelists, now we'll have to show the surprise. We said we will have 5 minutes each. We'll make it 4. And if time does not permit, we'll have to make it 3. Right? So it'll be like that T20. The rain is actually set in, so we'll move at pace, if you will. So just to give you some context of what we will really be discussing, you've heard various panel members talk about various parts of millets. We all know about the nutrition. We know about these pieces. But I think what we will request, and especially a lot of the chefs who are there with us and, entrepreneurs, is what and how do they see opportunities? What are the spaces that we can really look at of bringing millets into consumption phase as we work through a series of pieces. But before I move there, and in the interest of, Dr. Vikas's flight, Mr. Vikas's flight, I'm going to ask Mr. Vikas to walk to us a little bit in terms of what Raintree Foundation is all about. So over to you.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. So I'll keep it very quick and very crisp, right, in the interest of time. So any shift in major shift, requires a mature ecosystem to come together to make the shift happen. Today we are talking about shift in our consumption pattern, adding millet into our diet, right? So now to make the shift happen, we need an systemic ecosystem which can identify and bridge the gaps to make sure that consumption kind of kicks in. Now, if this ecosystem doesn't exist, fundamentally what the shift will be either hindered or slowed down, right? So at Rainmatter Foundation, we are looking at enabling this ecosystem to come together mainly on two fronts. One is on the production and one is on the consumption, right? So for any consumption pattern to be stable, we need to have a stable production system, right? So today we'll be, Jijavisha will be talking about the ecosystem which she'll be talking about the Millet Mentor, which is a part of the production ecosystem, which we have already built for, and we also encourage all of you to participate in that ecosystem to make it more robust and make it more enriching, right? Now, similarly, we have also partnered with Locavore, and we are inviting more partners to partner with us and make the consumption ecosystem. Like, we have a lot of knowledge on the stage. We have Mr. Sitaraman sir, we have a host of chefs who have done a lot of innovation. Innovation doesn't have to be only on the machines, right? It can also be on the cuisines. So we have a lot of innovation on the cuisines. And how would we bring this knowledge to the larger world? What would that ecosystem look like, and how, what are the different parts of the ecosystem? We are inviting everyone to build this ecosystem along with us. So probably I'll just stop here and give one more invitation for everyone to be a part of this ecosystem which we are trying to enable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Vikas. Really appreciate that. So Sitaram Prasad, if I can request you to share a few of your thoughts, please.
Very good evening to you all. And see, as a chef, we are good in cooking food, bringing it to the table, basically. And I happen to work with a Siddha doctor to understand and do some kind of knowledge sharing of astro foods. So what I understand about millets is millets are harder digestion. And in Tamil they say, Sirudhanyangal. Sirudhanyam is harder digestion. Perudhanyam is a faster digestion. So in fact, our system, our thing has been very well defined, very well researched and documented and passed on. Of course, millets, we all know, I think we were all using it predominantly when we were doing farming for some major activity. And of course, in our system, we do have profession-based food, which is also very well defined. So based on the profession, we were consuming food. And now off late, we are a little confused and we are a little deviated. I was sharing my views with the panelists. We were sitting and discussing in a nutshell, where only state which has not been literally polluted or deviated or diverted is Kerala. Kerala is still using their native rice, their coconut oil, and they have their fishes and their local things are being predominantly used on a daily basis in their dining table. But whereas we others have literally got confused. In fact, we were there with olive oil for some time, literally crazy towards that. Then came the sunflower oil, and then now we are into millets. See, millets, I think we should not, it's our kind of native products where we need to be little more researching and have a scientific approach in consumption. But now I think we have made a big noise. Government of India, chefs, we all chefs together, we wrote a lot of recipes. In fact, it was released, the book was released in Delhi, and we were all part of it. We all were there. We are happy to do that. But we need to have a scientific approach where how and what quantities or who has to consume millets, what kind of millets to be consumed. We need to work with nutritionists, dietitians, and food technologists to bring it to the instant recipes. I think I doubt whether it will work out well. but which is there very predominantly across all the shelves wherever I go now. It's a good sign, of course, consuming millets, but whether it is right or wrong to consume instant millets. Like, see, millets, as far as the research goes, like little easier digestion is basically to cook and ferment it for 24 hours and then consume. Like, do you all agree or not? Like, that is how it has to be. That's what it will be a this thing. Otherwise, it will little harder digestion. That's what. That is the reason why we are having a paradigm shift towards rice. We are eating more of rice and wheat, where it is an easier digestion, like faster digestion. Like, so millets is something which is nice to practice, eat, and all those things. And we need to have a proper scientific approach towards millets, like. When to consume, who to consume, what kind of work, what kind of physical activities we are into to consume millets. These kind of definitions have to come into place for us to go in a big way consuming millets. Like, so that is my view and understanding about millets. Like, of course, still in the villages who are in at the farms, I am seeing now. I am basically from a village, from an agricultural family. Now they are not even using millets. They have literally come into idli, dosas, and all sort of health hazards. Like, see, we need to define that now. People who are working in the farms, what kind of food which will give good nutrients to them, what kind of food if they consume where they will be able to sustain with their good health and all those things. I'm seeing a lot of people having a lot of health hazards in the villages, like because of the total paradigm shift. In fact, when they come into the work areas, they want morning tea, and then they followed by rasna they want, like so that is what is being consumed nowadays, and which is a very bad habit. We need to create awareness there, so that it is being rightly consumed by the right persons. Like, we make big noise in the cities and we get attracted very fast, like, but we need to have a scientific approach which has to be very well defined consuming millets. Like, that is my view, and thank you.
Thank you so much. Chef Zach, if I may request you to follow. Think you have a small presentation. If I may just request time, Chef Zach.
Yes.
Thanks.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to MSR for having me and the Locovo here. I've been a chef for close to 15 years. I've studied and worked abroad, come back. First part of my career was focused on European food, and then I made a pretty drastic shift towards Indian food through my work at the Bombay Canteen. But about 2 years ago, I left to start the Locavore. And the word is locavore, just like carnivore, herbivore, someone who not just consumes food locally, but also understands the local context of food. And we, along with the Rainmatter Foundation, have taken on the Millet Revival Project, which is a project that's trying to bring together all of the different aspects of millets from production till consumption and create a single space where people can come, engage, interact, learn about, and work with millets. So the internal structure of the project, we've broken it up into 4 labs. We have a millet cooking lab, a millet climate and policy lab, millet resource lab, and an editorial and content lab. And each of these is has a coordinator leading it and multiple volunteers from different parts of the country working under it. And as a result of the internal labs, we also work to do events. We collaborate with chefs and food organizations across the industry. We're trying to work on creating educational toolkits which both schools and culinary institutions can use. And we're also working to set up a dedicated website for the Millet Revival Project. I'll quickly go through some of the challenges we're trying to address. One is the limited awareness about millets amongst consumers. I think there's a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of clutter and noise in relation to the International Year of Millets amongst consumers, and we are trying to build a repository of information, including recipes, stories, research articles that people can come to as a credible source. Also, there's a perception of millets as being a poor man's food in many parts of India, and I think this is where the power of storytelling comes in, where we have a dedicated editorial lab to make sure that we understand and talk about the different aspects of millets in a way that is not glamorizing it, but also not putting it down. One thing I think which we are in a threat of, and this is not just in context of millets, but around a lot of traditional native foods, is the disappearing knowledge around it. And we work to document and preserve and showcase this knowledge through the work that we are doing, working with stakeholders and food experts and native indigenous communities across the country. I think, like Prashant had alluded to, there's a lack of innovation as well. And I think it's important to note that for a lot of people, the challenges around millets are different, of why they wouldn't want to consume it. We did an event in Shillong with Nesfas a few months ago, where we worked with local communities and millet growers in Shillong. And the single biggest reason why they've started consuming lesser and lesser millets, according to them, was the taste. Because typically in rural parts of Meghalaya, they consume it either by mixing it, cooking it with rice, or cooking it as a porridge. So we went in there to work with them. We conducted a workshop to understand what the problems were, and we adapted it to their familiarity and their recipes and their traditional cooking techniques to make it easily something that's still familiar, but incorporating millets in different ways. And I think this is something I've come across. Of course, the chefs here are experts in cooking with millets, but a lot of my colleagues, a lot of chefs and culinary experts across the country have actually very limited awareness and technical knowledge of how to cook with millets, how they can incorporate it in their foods, and that's what we're trying to solve through our Millet Cooking Lab, creating easy access for people to reach out to us for resources, for information, for help. And last but second, I think there's a lack of nuance in communication around millets. A lot of the conversation around millets in the public domain is largely overarching. So you talk about how millets are nutritious, but you don't talk about the specific nutritive qualities of different millets. You talk about very often it's the major millets that get spoken about, but we forget that there are minor millets that are very fundamental to a lot of indigenous communities as well. So we try and bring those nuances out in our communication thanks to the research lab that we have. And finally, there's a lot of content, a lot of noise, a lot of information on millets across the country. You'll see it on websites, you'll see it on billboards, but a lot of it is, it's very scattered, it's very cluttered. So we wanted to create a single space where people can come and access information. So we're setting up a website very soon where we will have stories, we'll have recipes, we'll have resources. We want to document, we want to highlight all the restaurants and hotels that are doing interesting things around millets, what events you can attend around millets, but also research papers and articles that have been written about millets and policies that have been formed around millets. And that, in a nutshell, is my presentation. You can follow us in the details here, but thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Chef Zach. So Neeraj, I think over to you. And what's really inside that little diary of yours. So please. And it'll be great if you could also just share your experience over the last 3 days especially.
Yeah, thank you.
The weekend.
A very good evening to one and all. So, my journey with millets basically began when I turned a diabetic. So, rice and wheat was completely out of the question. So, this happened last year and I got into millets in a very, I would say, I researched a lot on millets, not just on the profession, also very personally. So I kind of found out the nutrient value, I kind of found out the challenges to cook them, what it takes to cook them, and a lot of errors made in the beginning, but I would say over a period of 1 year, and due to the research, I am currently an expert at cooking millets. I don't know about the rest. So I would say in terms of health benefits, of course my sugar levels are in check, so I'm standing in front of you. So millets are definitely good for health, high fiber content I would believe, and low carbs. So basically, we had a millet pop-up at our hotel, the Rain Tree, in the coffee shop for the past 3 days. That's a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'll just go through a few dishes that we made. and I hope you find them interesting. So we had a couple of salads based out of millet. So we had I didn't want to do the same idli, vada, dosa that normally people do always. So I wanted to make it a little exciting. So we did like a somtam, that is a Thai-based salad. We made it with millet. Then we had like multi-millet noodles on the menu, all made in-house. And then we did a millet, as in how would I say, we did a millet dim sum also, where the outside case was not made with maida or atta or anything. It was basically made with millet flour. So during making the dim sum, the challenge I observed is because it lacks gluten. Basically, that is a protein which gives the dough its stringiness. So we had to substitute for the gluten. So in that place, I had added a little bit of, I would say, urad dal paste. So that kind of gave it that texture, and I think the response was pretty good. I wouldn't say I was not expecting that great a response. And on Sunday, we were like, for brunch, we were completely sold out. So there was multi-millet pizza on the menu. There was, I mean, a lot of stuff, I mean, which I got an opportunity to show. We had a sweet potato and millet falafel. We had basically arancini is an Italian rice dish which you make with rice. So in place of rice, we had added millet in it. So a lot of opportunity for innovation that I think is I'm grateful for the opportunity given to me, and as a chef, you get to explore a lot. So overall, I think, like the other panelists have spoken, the awareness on millets is very less, which I think is growing day by day, and the response was pretty good. I mean, yesterday we were sold out for brunch, which I didn't expect. So I mean, overall, I think, I personally believe that millets are the future. Whether people might like it or not, that stark reality has to come and check that millets are the future, whether be it for health or be it for agricultural production and whatever might be said. But these have been my experience with the millet, and I hope I hope this presentation had made a little bit of sense to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I mean, who would have expected millet and urad to be a part of, dim sum? But thank you. And I think that's the kind of excitement we're really looking for on the table. So thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Tamil Vanya, please.
Good evening. Vanakkam. Millets. Actually, in my childhood, first my grandmother was given a millet. Like he was made like a ragi roti. And I forgot it. After eating that, I forgot it. After once I came to the industry, the same people's making a same recipe, the combination was entirely changed. My grandma was given with like chilies, onions, and jaggery he made and given. That in my childhood, I tasted. It's good. In hotel industry, they have changed the combinations. So afterwards, once I started like a millet festival, same mistake my staff also done. So, like it's a business world. I think that why millets people not want to eat, why they are not eating. Then I understand that I want to make like my grandma style of cooking in millets. Then today also I kept some samples of the millet food. Just taste that thing. Then only we know where the mistake was happening. First we want to arrest the mistakes. Then only people love to eat the millets. Like a top people they eating millets, and like a village people's eating. The middle peoples are not eating a millets. Why means it's a fast world. So they eating like a biryani, something else, they're going out. After like a 60 to 70, they are want to eat a millet food, like that is going. So give awareness. So make a properly millet food with the combinations, and give means definitely they will eat. So almost chef was given a big briefing about the millets, and lots of legends is there. They given all the briefings, but usually I will eat a millet food only because I am from agriculture family. So I know what was the benefit is there. Almost I was crossed at 42 years old. So my family, they are also eating. I know they only eating properly. But others, I don't know they eating or not. But I telling you people also try to eat the food. My mostly I like to eat a maple sambar rice. I love to eat, but it's very difficult to eat the rice because I'm going my relation house, they are also using the rice. The combination of gravy is not good because the rice is no taste. The maple sambar is never give a taste. You making a good curries means we can eat. So you people also start to eat the maple sambar rice. You become like healthy. With the age of 80 also you can. Still my villagers who are all doing that work, they are still 80 to 90 years. They are all healthy. They are at morning 4 o'clock they get up and they will go for work because that will give us an age of 80 to 90. Now, because in this world we are not doing hard work, but at least try to eat this, our bones, our health become stronger than stronger. And thank you for giving your opportunity. And chef is there. He was given a good brief about millets. Thank you, chef, for coming here. And thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll have Dr. Raghunathan from Kottakkal Ayurveda. Sir, it'll be great for you to just throw some light. I'm sorry that the time was running short. My apologies for that.
Warm good evening for everybody. Actually, I came to give a presentation of 10 minutes on conveying the Indian background of millets with a special reference to Ayurveda. But now I'll cut short into 5 minutes and present. Can I do? So, after giving tributes to the pioneers of Ayurvedishala, let me go to the background of millets. In the poet Kanakadasa, he tells that in his Ramadhyana Charita, the supremacy of ragi over the rice. The story I'm not going to say now because you might be knowing that well. So, from the Vedic era onwards, the use of millets were there in India. Some Vedic things are showing that some references are there. Then after Vedic era came the Samhita era. Everything started to be in a written manner. At that time only in Ayurveda, Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita, like treatises came. In that Charaka Samhita, nearly 191 places these references of millets are there in the form of Trinadhanya, not in the name of millet, Trinadhanya. In 191 places it is there, not as a medicine, but as a diet. So before that, I'll tell that Ayurveda, even today, Ayurveda treat a person with 3 measures. Not only medicine, but food and other activities, controlling, regulating his activities, regulating his food, and giving some Medicare if it is needed. So with the 3 measures only Ayurveda people treat even today. So the food as a great measure. It is mentioned that Mahaushadha is the food. So classification of food articles into liquid and solid. In that solid, cereals comes. In the cereals also, the middle one is the Trinadhanya. That is, most of the millets are coming under Trinadhanya. Nearly 18 varieties of are described in some Samhitas. That out of the 18 varieties, 14 are coming under the millet, with the details are given there. But what to do now? What we can do with millet is, even in the diet of patients of obesity, ascites, and gynecologist disorders, and to detoxify from his body, the millets are recommended in Ayurveda. As a medicine, it's very rarely only mentioned. Only in when urinary calculi it is mentioned, the ragi only once in the treatises. So what to do? What we can do? What was our tradition is that we had the tradition of using millets in the fasting, and especially Ayurveda recommends that in some particular condition like a menstruation, like that, we have to use millets for that 3 or 4 days, like that. In some disease condition also, only millets can be taken, then only that pure purification will occur in the body. Ayurveda recommends so. So, the using millet in the diet will be the answer to the LSD, that is lifestyle diseases. That's my one recommendation. Then another recommendation, that the overuse of millet, some adverse effect also mentioned in Ayurveda of Trinadhanya, not millet, but most of the millets are coming under Trinadhanya, that flatulence, debility, emaciation, and some nervous weaknesses. And that will occur by overusing the this thing, millets. So as the millets, the Yava means barley also mentioned in Ayurveda in so many places. And from pre-Vedic era, it was used in India. So we have to consider Yava also like a millet. That's our Ayurvedic recommendation, because Aushadhinam Aham Yava. It is recommended by Lord Krishna in his advice. In the Aushadhis, I am Yava, like that. Yava means barley only. So in Ayurvedic, our institution, Yava containing medicines are only 3. Out of that, Agastya Rasayana, which is very, everybody can use that to reduce the obesity, like that, cough, etc. But as a medicine, no millets are used in Ayurveda usually, but some barley-like things are mentioned with the same effect. So my recommendation is that everybody should use millet in their diet after 40s. Then overuse of millet can be restricted. If a person is using every millet for 4 or 5 days in every diet, that will be making some adverse effects. Then finally, the use of millet weekly once or fortnightly once, as we are doing in Ekadashi or like that Vradas, that will be more scientific, I think. Then that will be an answer to most of the diseases today, and especially the LCD, lifestyle diseases. Thank you. Thank you for giving an opportunity here. We can.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for this. Next, we'll have Ms. Adishwari. Ma'am, it will be great for you to, just share some light with us in terms of, how it has been about setting up 2 pure millet-based restaurants, and what consumers have been telling you as you've been making close to 200 dishes now.
Good evening to all. First, I have to thank Swaminathan Foundation to give this opportunity to share my thoughts about the millets. Basically, I am an electronics engineer. I was working as a lecturer in a polytechnic since 8 years. After got married, I used to move in all over the India. So all type of cuisine, I came to know it. Then once my children grown up, then I thought we should do something which is needed for the society. But I don't know still what we have to give for the society. Then the main thing which forced me to know about the millet is religious vow. That is when Sai Baba, when I was doing one puja for Sai Baba, one mandala, that is 48 days, that one rule was there, they're not supposed to eat rice. That time, that made me think, what is the replacement of rice? Then I only came to know about the millet. Then I thought I started the puja, then I went to the shop and bought all the millets. Main challenge came that time only. Very tiny grain, not able to cook properly. Just imagine I am being a South Indian, 3 times I used to eat rice. So what is the replacement? How I can eat that rice? So that is a challenge. I faced it, and you don't believe it. Within that 48 days, all the tricks I came to know on with my own effort, because obviously I'm actually passionate in cooking and interested in cooking. So I have to make nice dishes to my children and my husband. So what I thought, that motivated me to cook. How it doesn't come, we have to make it properly. The idlis should be hard. I have to become Maliyapu, like the jasmine kind of soft, nice, I have to bring it. So you don't believe it, trials and errors makes me to find out all type of dishes. What all they are making in normal food, I tried and converted into using with only millets. That even ragi, varaga, idli to appam, idiyappam, everything. So in that 48 days, one thing strikes to me, says like me only so many ladies must be suffering to bring how to cook. That's a main challenge, It's a very tiny grain. Once you put it in a cooker, either it will be overcooked or it not cooked properly. Okay, let us try it in a pot, means that same thing will come. So only that, I don't want to take so much more time. Just thing is, when you take about the millet, nothing is there, only 2 points. Soaking time and cooking time. And little passionate in cooking, that's it. Then you don't believe it, I have started first cookery class, because this 48 days, I thought lot of interesting facts about the millets. That 48 days while consumed only millets, I found the dramatic changes in my digestion system and everything. And so I thought, okay, why don't you bring this to the other people? Then I had given the ad in a Mylapur Times and telling who are interested to learn about the cooking, we'll do the millet cookery workshop. So I have conducted 10 batches of cookery workshop in 2015. from college girls up to 85-year-old lady. That auntie came and told me, I am a diabetic ma, so tell me some porridge kind of in millets and upma like that. So that even though that's not in my menu, I got taught her how to cook like that. She was overwhelming and she was very much thankful to me. Very nice. I tried, it came out well at the end. So that and all, I liked very much. So after they motivated me, whatever I tried, ma'am, it not coming up to your taste. That motivated me to enter into this venture, Millet Magic Meal. That's magic means it's a tiny grain that you can do lot of magics. So initially I started only hired a 450 square feet house with only 3. I'm the main chef and 2 additional girls. And of course my husband is there. He's the marketing fellow. He used to do the marketing skills and all. We used to go and deliver the food. You don't believe it. My lunch system only 8 items. So like Sangeeta Saravana, that executive lunch bag, like that we are given 8 items, 3 variety rices and 1 that ragi mudda in Bangalore, that kind ragi mudda with kadala curry and some dessert. Instead of pickle, I used to introduce some tovel type. Every day I have to change my all type of tovel, like parp tovel, dal tovel, mint tovel, like that, one kind of chutney, but it's thick in piece. So everybody is impressed by that. And we used to, that cost is only 100 rupees, and myself only go to give it to my customer by paying 150 rupees for auto. So initial that and all challenges. And still what I am telling is, what I am facing this challenging is to get the customer first time into my restaurant. I'm very much confident if once they enter to my restaurant, I'm sure about they'll keep on coming, they will bring so many people to me. And at that time I told you only I started with 8 items. Nowadays 7 years completed, I'm having 2 restaurants, one in Alwarpet, another is in Anna Nagar. We are having now 300 recipes in executive millet. So first I started at lunch, then gradually I move into idlis, then some beverages and some cookies and beverage, munches kind, murku. What I thought, if you give your children beetroot sabji, beetroot palya, they won't eat it. So what I thought, take the extraction of the beetroot and put it in the murku dough and made it as a murku munches, beetroot murku, curry leaves, coriander leaves, like that. I have started so many savories in millet only, that exclusively millet only. We are not at all using white sugar, maida and wheat. Absolutely this thing only, millet, exclusive millet. And now even we are using to pull the youngsters crowd, because if mothers and parents are interested to come to our restaurant, kids may hesitate to come. So for them, I thought, why don't we make pizza with millet? That's a quite very tough challenge for me, without wheat and maida. So we have that also, 30-40 trials took me, and even brownie, that also 30 trials. So only trials makes me to stand in front of you. So once the thing is good, the outstanding is my logo, and that no compromising. This too is my key factor behind my success. And now we are making 300 and 3 lakhs customers for us. And we are the highly rated restaurant in our area, 4.7 in Swiggy. So 350 millet I had provided, only millets only. So actually what the main thing is, people are hesitate how to cook and misconception of having misunderstanding about the millets. All people will tell, ma'am, yanak sugar illa, I don't have sugar, can I have millet? Absolutely. That lifestyle disorder not only you, it will make come. So we should take precautious steps. You can go move forward and don't eat that other normal rice. Please switch over to the millets. And so everyone, if say suppose 200 people are listening, I'll be very grateful if at least 10 people can switch over to your house. You tell your mom or tell your wife to cook millets instead of carbs or normal white rice. So that is, now you may think, I'm very fit, I don't want anything. But later you just think of your future you may get. So like, whenever early father and no one, now each house, every person is diabetic. So to overcome this lifestyle disorder, what I'm suggesting is, please go for a millets. So a small tip I can tell you, for especially ladies, when you are doing cooking in a pot, if you want grainy rices, just 5 to 7 minutes is enough, half an hour to 1 hour soaking. Then while the time to cook, now when rice become transparent, you are going to strain out, just add 1 cup of cold water. That is a secret, how my biryani is very grain. I kept it outside, vegetable biryani, you can taste it. So this sort of minor effect. You can go on. So my final request is please switch on to the millet, not only because of this millet year, to give a, I mean, when you started eating, then your generation will eat a millet. And nowadays, because of this less consumption means that obviously the productivity is less. That's what the rate is also more. So once the farmers, we give the opportunity to the farmers to cultivate more millets, we can, at an affordable price, we can buy, and we all get the benefits of millet. Thanks for your opportunities.
Thank you so much, madam, for your very inspiration speech. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Pushparaj from Pushpa Diet Hotel of Namakkal.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் 14வது வருஷம் கடை வச்சுட்டேன். 9 வருஷம் ஆயிடுச்சு. ஒரு 3 வருஷம் ரொம்ப சிரமப்பட்டு தான் கடை நடத்தணும். இப்போ ஓரளவு வரவேற்பு இருக்குங்க. முதல்ல கஸ்டமருக்கு வந்து எல்லாம் இது சுகர் உள்ளவங்க தான் வருவாங்க, இந்த கடைக்கு யார் வருவா அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி பேசினாங்க. அப்போ நாளடைவில் டாக்டருங்கெல்லாம் வர ஆரம்பித்தாங்க. டாக்டர் வர ஆரம்பித்தோடனே எல்லா கஸ்டமரும் வர ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. காலையில் பொங்கல் போடுவேன். பொங்கல், அவல் உப்புமா, பயிரெல்லாம் கலந்த சிறுதானியம் முளைக்கட்டின பயிர் போடுறோம். அதனால் அது நல்ல வரவேற்பு இருக்குங்க. அப்புறம் மத்தியானம் வந்து காளான் பிரியாணி, தயிர் சாதம். தயிர் சாதம்லாம் நீங்கள் குழந்தைக்கு ஒரு நாளைக்கு வச்சு சாப்பிட்டு பழகிட்டீங்கன்னா அதே தான் கேட்பாங்க. வேறு தயிர் சாதம் உங்களுக்கு பிடிக்காது. சிறுதானியத்தில் வந்து நீங்கள் எந்த அரிசியில் போட்டாலும் சரி, தயிர் சாதம் போட்டு கொடுத்துட்டீங்கன்னா பிள்ளைங்க வேறு தயிர் சாதம் சாப்பிட மாட்டாங்க. இது சாப்பிட்டு பழகிட்டாங்கன்னா எல்லோரும் வருவாங்க. கம்மங்களி, ராகிகளி இதெல்லாம் 9:30 கஸ்டமர் வந்துடுறாங்க. 9:30 மணிக்கு கஸ்டமர் வந்து வெயிட் பண்ணுவாங்க ராகிகளிக்குங்க. இப்போ நல்ல வரவேற்பு இருக்குதுங்க. தோசை வந்து கம்பு தோசை, ராகி தோசை, தின தோசை, ஒரு 4-5 ஐட்டம் தோசை போடுறாங்க. முறுக்கு ஐட்டம் போடுறாங்க. ராகி முறுக்கு, தின முறுக்கு, இந்த மாதிரி ஐட்டம்லாம் போடுறோம். இப்போ வரவேற்பு நல்லா இருக்குதுங்க. சார் போயிட்டாரே, இதை கேட்கணும் சார். பேசிட்டு எனக்கு பேச வராதுங்க அவ்வளவு. இன்னைக்கு தான் முதல்ல சார் விளக்கிற ஏதாவது டவுட்னு கேளுங்க சார்.
I'm just translating what he has told. So initially, I think he is running almost 9 years completed. 9 years completed. In the first 3 years, nobody has visited, and most of the people prefer, like he thought, it is only for diabetic. Then, to be frank, 3 years he ran for loss. He shared previously. He shared. So then he promoted. He was keep on motivated people, and he motivated. And after 4th year, 5th year, he got a good response. Now he changed added many dishes, and like more people, not a diabetic people, and other peoples also started to come.
டாக்டருங்க அதிகம் வர்றவங்க இப்போ வந்து டாக்டருங்க, இன்ஜினியருங்க, சித்தா டாக்டருங்க ரொம்ப விரும்பி வர்றாங்க. இவங்க எல்லாமே வராங்க. இவங்க வர்றதை பார்த்துட்டு வேறு கஸ்டமர்லாம் வர ஆரம்பிக்கிறாங்க. ரொம்ப பொறுமையாக இருக்கணும் இந்த தொழிலில், அவ்வளோதாங்க. பொறுமையாக இருக்கணும். 6 சுவைங்கிறாங்க, நம்ம 2 சேர்த்திக்கணும். சுத்தமாக வச்சுக்கணும், அன்பாக பேசணும். இதை பண்ணால் அந்த தொழிலில் 100% சக்ஸஸ் பண்ணலாங்க. மாற்றம்.
Okay, the final one. So now he had many customers from doctors, other people also point to understand. So he was, as ma'am previously mentioned, patient, and the passion is required to make a good product like in the millet as well as in the business line. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I'd like to call Jigivishwa Khatri from Vasan. We're now approaching the last few overs of the T20 match, and so I want to do the one thing that I did
have to hit across the boundary.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, MSSRF, for this opportunity. Without taking too much time, I would like to expand on the idea that Vikas shared at the start of this session, that of a production and consumption ecosystem. We heard all the wonderful panelists on how they have worked on the demand side to make millets more, interesting, and to make millets more tastier. And I would just like to, say one thing. we are constantly talking about how do we retain these good nutri-cereals for the people who are producing them also, you know, and as well as for other sections of the society. So all of us should have equal accessibility to these millets. And, you know, we were talking about the consumption side of things and the demand side of things. I mean, they go hand in hand. They're like two legs, no? They go hand in hand with the production side or the supply side of the ecosystem. And it is in this supply side of the ecosystem that we thought that we should come together, you know, all the people who have gained experience in processing millets, you know, in millet-related machinery, in setting up those businesses, in making the manufacturing side of it profitable. We wanted all of them to come together as Millet Mentor and to give these services to the, you know, local entrepreneurs, to the fact, you know, when we talk about shorter supply chains, when we talk about decentralized millet processing, and how do we make that ecosystem sustainable is what Millet Mentor stands for. So this is just, since the time is short, so these are the services and this is how we have imagined the ecosystem. Today I would actually like to quickly share some of the preliminary knowledge material that we have tried to put together. You know, basics such as how do you do, if you are an entrepreneur, how do you do the assessment? What all are the top things that you should look at when you are thinking, okay, I want to set up a millet processing enterprise, you know. So I'll be leaving the material for, you know, for all of you to refer. So I'll quickly go through. We've tried to put together a repository of machines so that people have a one-stop kind of a reference document. We have tried to put everything in context. So machines never go without installation, without a you know, basic layout, without without what is the site like, you know. So all those technical thinking and technical points that we usually tend to, you know, ignore sometimes because it requires like a good combination of expertise, you know. So that is what we're trying to put together. Then we have something called the vendor licensing checklist. So this is a very critical part that we saw in our initial exploration, and you know, when we went around Odisha, we went around Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, the existing millet processing enterprises. We saw that half of them, you know, never asked the right questions from their vendors. And even though they had AMCs, the installation took place after the AMCs. And there were several of those things that we sort of, you know, discovered. So we have prepared a very crisp vendor licensing checklist that these are the points that you should ask your service provider, you know. And finally, this is the journey that we are envisioning. And this is how we want to engage with as many, you know, local entrepreneurs, small, big entrepreneurs who, you know, sort of reach out to the Millet Mentor platform. Lastly, I would just conclude by saying that this is a platform, and we're trying to build a really network-based platform and inviting all of you, actually, be it the knowledge providers, the resource partners, or people who are interested to take up their millet journey, to actually join this network platform, and you know, we can make this journey possible together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Jayashree to give her comments.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take a few seconds to say that this is a very nostalgic experience to be back at the foundation. I think I was remarking to somebody that this feels like a second home. So thank you to the foundation for having me here. I represent Reliance Foundation. That's the corporate CSR entity of Reliance Industries Limited. We work across India, reaching about 70 million people, rural transformation, health, education, sports, and a number of other initiatives. But the bottom line being that the foundation believes in transformative changes with the spirit that we call We Care. So what we are looking for here is also transformative solutions that can really make a difference to the entire ecosystem, making mighty millets what they should be. I'd like to start, with just 2-3 points. So as a communication professional, one of the things that I've been really inspired about is how Professor Swaminathan would simplify a lot of a jargon or a lot of research and science and what was being said about we need evidence. So one of his simplistic approaches was the 4C approach, which is conservation, cultivation, consumption, and commerce. So there's a lot of research that has happened right here at the institution on this 4C approach. I would like to add one more C to this, which is not just because we have the culinary experts here, but which is also communication, which is also culinary diversity and how you actually process food, but communication. And I think what is really and crucially important, which people like, Mr. Tamir here or Mr. Neeraj have mentioned, is how we really build awareness and a momentum around making millets consumed and making people aware about how you consume them, what is the best way to consume them, who should consume them, and all of the other things. At the start of this panel, I mentioned about how Mr. Prashant had made or transformed Soulful into the brand that is today. And I think that it has taken a huge amount of marketing acumen and a lot of insights into how to really popularize this entire movement around millet. So that's been like a fantastic journey. What we really need to keep in mind is this entire inclusive approach. What Professor Swaminathan was also very particular about is that we are not taking away millets from the communities where they are traditionally consumed for the sake of marketing them in places where there is a huge demand or there is a huge reach and there is a push, a demand pull that's really happening. What we really need to do is, as people sitting here, we need to talk about, is it inclusive? Is the entire communication approach inclusive? Is the entire culinary diversity that we're talking about, is it inclusive? And I'm so happy to see that from our restaurant in Namakkal to Raintree, we have an entire range of people represented here on this dais. What we also need to think about is how we really reach into pockets and areas where we don't really reach in a normal way. We've had a lot of good examples here. One example I'd also like to share is from Sir H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospital. Very recently, our head chef there did a demo on millet recipes with the Indian Navy. Now, this is an unusual kind of audience, but this was like very well received. And it's not only that, there was like a lot of follow-up from the Navy itself, posting about it, sharing this information, and talking about how they were looking at new millet recipes and how these could be incorporated. But having said that, the journey is not really easy. It requires a lot of acknowledgement of the centuries of work that has happened to the people who've actually been conserving them. I think earlier today, Dr. Nityara also mentioned about this team from Mandla, where Reliance Foundation is partnering with a number of organizations to understand what are the dynamics, to understand value chains, to understand where and how we can make a difference. And one of the things that we've heard about, especially in millets like kodo and kutki, is the drudgery that's involved and where it concerns women especially. And we're talking about women farmers' rights, we're talking about naturalizing millet usage, we're talking about popularizing. So that's one of the barriers that we've been talking about. What we also need to remember is that these same people can somehow become transformative agents, can really be the faces, the messengers of our campaign. If you look at the agenda of this session, at the top of the page, you have 2 women featured there. These 2 women are from Koli Hills. My guru is sitting here. So, So, Jayalalitha and Mallika, and we did a series of stories on them, and it was so beautifully received. They were the Angelina Jolies of our millet campaign. Their faces transformed what it means to really take the millets from Koli Hills, to take that muruk, take it to Rome and make a demonstration in front of a international scientific fraternity and tell them, this is what we've been conserving over the generations. What we need is to transform, build a bridge between traditional knowledge. We heard about traditional recipes. This is another example of traditional knowledge in situ conservation that's been happening. We really need to build, and I think communication can offer a space where we build a bridge between traditional knowledge, traditional practices, the way in which we are actually understanding and getting to know more about what millets are and have been, and take it to today's audiences. What we need to do is, and I think usually there's a series of recommendations that emerge from a conference like this. What I would recommend is one such recommendation could be, how do we make communication inclusive so that millet is for all, and the millet diversity also means consumption and consumer diversity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, I mean, I know we have rushed through a lot of the presentations, but, you know, our panel members have also traveled some distance to be here. So just wanted to quickly check in if there is any one or two questions that any of you might have for the distinguished members on the dais. There's a mic coming to you, sir. If I may just request.
It is easy to introduce these food items to our native people, but foreigners it would be difficult. For them, it would take some time for the tourists and all. There will be some difficulty. That is what I see. People will accept this concept and all, the native people, but the people from outside, there will be some problem. I don't know how far you are going to introduce this to them. You have any experience you can share?
Would anybody on the panel like to answer?
Fine. Sir, I think, hello? Yes. Am I audible? Fine. See, we Indians are little finicky, where when we go anywhere, travel anywhere, we try to go and search for our food. Like basically we need rice, curd or pickle, and we are, second day we are fed up with eating any food outside. And but whereas the case of people who are traveling from other countries like Europe or US or UK, people want to try the local food. Like people are willing to experiment. I think it will be easy for us to handle that in a better way, unless until you don't compromise on taste and hygiene standards. So that is what we are all there to, and we create recipes and people are experimenting it and people are enjoying it as well. People want to explore anything which is there in that particular region when people travel from abroad. Like, so I think it should not be a big difficulty, but as such, people are using that now. It has become a, see, for example, sourdough culture is very much there now in abroad, like which is very much practiced, and then now it is happening in India as well. We are also practicing it, and we can incorporate in their recipes all these millets. It will be possible for us to convince them much better.
Thank you, sir. Does that, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a flavor. Anybody else? One last question before we can wrap this session. Yes.
Good evening.
If you have anyone in specific, if you have any specific panelists or anybody general, you just mention that as well, please.
I would like to ask to ma'am from Reliance Foundation. Reliance has been doing a lot of work with regards to different segments. I'm Darshan Mahajan. I'm the founder director of Artistic Humans. We use art and theater to bring social change. I want to ask how theater and art can be integrated in this process, because millet awareness, we are all focusing on increasing the consumption, making common people realize what millets are. How do you think theater and art can be used in this process?
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think like we are talking about locally available food, locally available movements, using need-based, user-defined communication approaches is always important. So if theater would work in a specific kind of audience, if art would work in a particular kind of audience, that's when you would use it. Not generally to say that, yes, theater and art are to be used as a form of communication. However, having said that, approaches such as magnet theater, such as expressions with art, can have a very powerful and transformative experience in terms of people who actually use them, be a part of the process, and leads to behavior change. I think this has been shown, and this has also been proven by different experiments, by different initiators across the world. So definitely it can have a role to play in this as well. I think the Swaminathan Foundation has also used theater and as a form of a lot of behavior change initiatives I think Mrs. Meena Swaminathan, who Dr. Nitya Rao was mentioning to earlier, used theatre as a very powerful method of actually taking this forward. So I think there are a lot of good examples to learn from. And yes, to answer your question simply, yes.
Okay, thank you. Because we have seen there are a lot of layers to this traditional versus cash crops, adaptation. Some of the farmers who are cultivating millets, but they are not themselves using it. So these kind of complexes via a communication like theatre, where it is made in their own languages and then in a language in a way that they can understand. So this is what I wanted to share. Thank you.
உடம்பு இளைக்கணும்னு நினைக்கிறவங்க காலையில் சிறுதானியத்தை அரிசியை கஞ்சி குடிச்சிட்டு வயிறு ரொம்ப கஞ்சி குடிச்சிருங்க. இடையில வந்து போண்டா பச்சோ டீயை சாப்பிடுவீங்க. மத்தியானம் எப்போ நீங்கள் என்ன சாப்பிடுவீங்களோ அப்படியே சாப்பிடுங்க. நைட்டுக்கு அதே மாதிரி எப்போ என்ன சாப்பிடுவீங்களோ அதே மாதிரி சாப்பிடுங்க. ஒரு 7 மணி வரைக்கும் சாப்பிடுங்க. ஒரு 15 நாள்லேயே உங்களுக்கு வெயிட் எவ்வளோ குறையுதுன்னு தெரியும். 15 நாளில் கண்டிப்பாக குறையும். அப்புறம் ஒரு ஆள் ஒரு வேளைக்கு சிறுதானியம் சாப்பிட்டீங்கன்னா கண்டிப்பாக சுகர் ஏறாது. இது எல்லாமே கடைக்கு வர கஸ்டமரு வயசானவங்க சொல்லுதுங்க. 100% உண்மை. நீங்கள் ஒரு மாதத்தில் யாருனாலும் டெஸ்ட் பண்ணிட்டு ஒரு மாதத்தில் ஒரு வேளை மட்டும் சிறுதானியம் சாப்பிடுங்க. 3 வேளை செய்ய முடியலை, நான் ஒரு வேளை சாப்பிடுங்க, நீங்களே உணர்ந்துக்குவீங்க. அதே மாதிரி எடையும் குறையும். 15 நாளில் கண்டிப்பாக உங்களுக்கு எடை குறையும், தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். பார்த்துக்குங்க. சாப்பிட்டு நல்லா இருங்க, எல்லாம் சந்தோஷமாக இருங்க.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for really cooperating on time. Hopefully, you guys had a interesting and a little bit of a tightly squeezed in session. And thank you all for making it for today's session. Over to Dr. Oliver.
We all agree that this has been a real millet thought delight evening. And in fact, bringing millet from farm to plate always been a dream, and now that dream has come true, and we are all witnessing here. And let it be the farm millet from farm to the rural plate, or peri-urban plate, or metropolitan plate, always been a challenge. Now we are witnessing, all the champions are here, and they have made it, into a reality. So there are a couple of announcements here. Just after this panel meeting, we have event here, and before that, I will invite our chairperson, Dr. Soumya, to honor the panelists here. After that, we will go out. We will see the signature dish displayed there. For we can also taste it, and those are from Hotel Thuria and Millet Magic, and also Marvel Catering Limited here. So we will enjoy that. Then prior to that, we will have a changeover session. There is a launch of Tata Soulful product, and Prashant Parameshwaran, who is here, and their team is here, and they will launch a product. After that, we will break, and we'll go and enjoy the signature dish. And again, the Tata Soulful, they have actually sponsored a millet dinner, exclusive millet dinner that is waiting for us. And now I invite the chairperson, Dr. Swaminathan, to honor the panelist.
Recording
Excuse me.
stopped.